Hello creatives, welcome to today's episode of the 1% Creative. Like you know, this is a platform for creatives by creatives. And on the show today is a creative who has done exceptionally well for himself in the movie and film industry. And you're going to hear from him next. But today we're going to be talking about turning creativity into career. Again, this person is going to break every bit down for us. And the next voice you're going to be hearing is drum rolls. Yeah!
I'm feeling like Tarantino today, just because of the introduction in the. My name is Promise Egwu. I'm a video editor, a filmmaker who is I call myself a creative who has experience not just in filmmaking, but in sports, education, and also in broadcasting. So nice having me in here.
Welcome, Promise, to the show. It's really nice to have you here. All right. And I mean, you've said a bit of yourself, but in the context of the show, what kind of creative would you define yourself to be?
Well, I feel I've evolved over the years. I started as the humble creative who is always saying yes to anything available. But over time, I've become someone who is more ambitious. I see myself as a creative who is very ambitious and also a team player. So it's about evolving from the humble beginning to someone who is more proactive in getting opportunities as a creative now. So I'm looking more at the business side of creativity instead of just the yes sir part of creativity.
Again, there's no better person to talk about this topic than Promise. Can you remember the first time that you felt like this was it for you?
I'm not sure I've gotten to that period where I feel, okay, Promise, you've arrived. Because I keep evolving every time. There have been days where I feel, okay, I'm doing well. I'm not where I used to be maybe 7 years ago. Like the baby me, the baby Promise will be proud of the level I've gotten to now. Because started as an intern a couple of years back now. I've had the opportunity of working on some top productions. But that is not where I'm looking at because every day I keep challenging myself. I look at works which are inspiring, works that win the Oscar, that does well in international film festivals. And I tell myself, that is where I really want to be. So most times when I look at guys who are way better than me, I tell myself that I'm not there yet, even though I'm not where I used to be anymore. So I'm not sure I've gotten to that stage where I feel I've arrived yet, but I'm working towards that level where one day you guys will just hear, and the winner of the AMVCA Best Editor, Best Filmmaker is Promise Egwu. That is where I will feel, yes, I don't arrive.
Interesting. I mean, you've talked about being an intern. That's like a process for you. So what was your earliest passion project and what did it teach you about yourself?
One of my first passion projects was majorly collaborating with fellow filmmakers. And it happens to be short films. And during that period, it was just about a couple of inexperienced I'm not sure if I should call ourselves or call myself a filmmaker at that period. Or it was just about guys who were passionate about the craft coming together to make films. And when we look at passionate project then, it was all about us trying to make commercials, short films. And the short films we made were 2-minute short films. And one of the things the experience exposed me to was teamwork is quite important. It made me to also tolerate people because you get to meet and work with diverse people on a film set. So, and the best project which I've been part of are jobs where we work together as a team, even when we're not that experienced, but teamwork ensured that we delivered a quality product. And at the same time, I also learned something about myself, which was my ability to put things off, even when we were inexperienced, but my ability as an editor back then to look at a narrative and still make it work, because at times we work on a passion project and after the director says the rush is a phase, this is not good enough. But I just tell them not to give up. I would tell them I'll work on it and look for how to bring out the story in the project out. And when it comes out, it looks nice. So during that period, I learned more to believe in myself. And I also learned more that I'm a very good team player who work well with other people.
Okay, interesting. So at what point did you begin to think that this creativity that you have can actually become a career? And when did you transition from it just being like a passion project to like a career path that you're pursuing?
Funnily, for someone like me, I knew that I would do well in filmmaking because I tell people I make calculated risk most times. So the reason why I decided to become an intern, because I saw it was like one of the best ways to get into the industry. And I look at my qualities. I being someone who is pretty much organized, who does not agree with no. You get, so I look at my qualities and I look at a film editor. What are the qualities of a film editor? A film editor is someone who is very organized, who listens and who works well. So I knew even before I went in that I would be successful as a film editor. So I wasn't surprised. Just 2 months into my internship, I was given a full-time job. So it was when I knew I would maybe not make money off it, when I knew I could make millions of it, because I knew I would surely make some money. When I knew I would make millions and other stuff off it was when I was getting recommendation. I remember working on a project called Wikipedia, which was like the biggest TV show in Africa back then. And in just my first episode of doing Wikipedia, when the project was sent to a client, for the first time in the history of Wikipedia then, the client had no feedback. There was no feedback on that, on the project, and my boss gave me about 20,000 naira at that period for like a well-done job, because it was like one of those nagging clients who were always complaining, and for an intern who just got in on a project like that to do so well on that project. From there, and I kept on getting recommendation and other stuff, and at that period I felt this might not just be something you are good at, but if you keep working at yourself, you can really make millions instead of just the 20,000, 10,000 and all that stuff. People most times, they commend me on my storytelling ability, because no matter how bad the rushes might be, I had that instinct of knowing how to like bring the story to life. So, and with that, I also discovered that storytelling is like the hallmark of filmmaking. Like they say, story is king. If you know how to like get stories out of any narrative, the potential of you getting more jobs was quite high. And it got to a time period where I felt I was getting a lot of jobs, and I kept on like increasing my rate, and people did not get a complaint. So instead of maybe when I was charging 50,000 naira per edit, I was getting a lot of projects, and my way of saying no to people were, okay, I can't do this job if you don't pay 100,000 naira, for example. And people were not complaining, said, is that what you want? Are you sure you will deliver this project on this date? So when I said they didn't even complain, I knew this was something I could really make a lot of money from.
Like, I literally want to just listen to you, just keep going and going. And you've been very particular about internship. So I could get from you that even while you were doing those projects that didn't pay you, you gave your 100%. I mean, that's why you got the recommendations that you got and everything. So speaking of recommendations and background, culture, where you're coming from, how were you able to, or has a culture of Nigeria actually, or the space helped you, to the point where you've currently come to now?
Well, in terms of culture and where I'm coming from, Nigeria is quite diverse. Like, for me, I won't say I had the humble beginning of coming from a rich background. So for someone like me, it has been good and also probably not bad, because I remember when I started as an intern, for example, I could not afford a laptop. So that, in terms of my background, did not really help me in achieving my potential, because most times I could only depend on just what I did at the job. So when I get back home, when my other mates were practicing, for example, I did not have that leverage. So I had to just like stay back to work, probably use their system. It also made me to lose opportunities. I could not upskill the way I really wanted. So in terms of that, my background did not really help me, and there were no avenues in terms of Nigeria, in terms of talented creative, maybe a grant for you to like tap into to get opportunities. So that wasn't there. But that also helped me in such a way that I knew I had to work extra hard. So even when I might close from work like maybe 5 o'clock, I still like extra hours just to, use the internet at the office, the laptop at the office, or the system at the office, so to get better. So with that, I knew from the beginning that I had to like work ×2 of the average filmmaker to get the result which I wanted. And it has also helped me going into different environments. So when people say, okay, this thing is impossible to pull off, I just look at them. You know what thing I don't pull off for Nigeria? With little or no resources you get, and I'm having all these resources, I would pull off crazy shit. Even though I won't tell them, but I knew it because like those experiences, like it is just like when you don't have a laptop and you have to deliver a job in a space of 24 hours. I don't know how I do it, but I just look for avenues. If it's to look for any means to get it done. I've done stuff like that. So it prepares, I feel that experience prepared me in such a way that I'm dogged. I can persevere any situation. And those are maybe the qualities, those experience really helped me in accomplishing.
Again, man, I think you're well that people need to actually draw from, I mean, you've hinted a bit of the challenges that you've had to, go through in the past. So looking at the past now and looking at where you currently are, right? In comparison, do you think you can ditch this career for any other career path?
So for someone like me, I've had the experience of, I started much more in education. I have an educational degree, and I can easily decide tomorrow that I want to be maybe going into teaching, be a professor, or just do something in education. At the same time, I also have a very strong background in sports. Like for someone like me, maybe one of the things that helped me in storytelling, which I don't even get to tell people, is my background in analysis, being a sport analyst. Being a sport analyst means that you'll be objective. And being objective, you have to look at the story from different perspectives. So, and that helped me when I went into editing, filmmaking, because I was able to like look at the story from different angles and ensuring that I balance it. So my sports background is very strong. And I still tell people that's my biggest strength in sports, because you can just come up to me and say, Promise, I need an idea in sports, and ideas will just flow. Even way more than filmmaking. That's another strength which I have. I'm also a businessman. I've done a couple of businesses in the past. So in future, if filmmaking doesn't work, I can easily pack my bag and say, okay, I want to start a cab business. I want to start any business. I want to fall back into education. So I won't be surprised in the future if I'm not a filmmaker. But one thing I feel is that, which I will also do well, is ensuring that I marry all my skills into one. I see myself as someone who will still be in filmmaking for sure, but I might not be the guy who will this or that, because it will get to a stage where you would have to evolve. Instead of you just being on the computer doing this all the time, I would prefer to be maybe a guy calling the shots, or you have a project like this, and I feel this is a good idea. I want to be the executive producer. I just put my money in it, especially if I see this as this is a good idea, which has the potential of becoming even way bigger. So I'm not someone who will just restrict myself to just one side, but I feel I will still be involved in filmmaking, but in a different aspect. It could be the business side, or it could be the creative part.
Nice. Again, you have different aspects to you as a person and as a creative as well. But at some point, did you ever have to adjust your creative process because of a client or because of an amount of money that was involved in that particular project?
That was a big challenge for me, navigating, like working with clients from the aspect of you being like in charge of a creative process, and now working with clients, especially when I moved from just a guy who was collaborating with friends and working on commercials. So working with commercials at that period and working on projects that the client paid, I had to like learn something new during that experience, that no matter how talented you are or no matter how creative you are, the client would be the one deciding what would be the final outcome. So it was pretty hard on me at first, because I was always in creative argument with maybe the client or a partner that I feel this is not the best way this should be. And I was also being careful, because if you're not, you have to be very careful in that line, because if you're not careful, you'll be tagged as someone who does not work well or who is not a very good collaborator, or you are not a team player. So from that experience, what I learned is that for the client, even when the client says this might not be the best idea possible for a project, but as far as a client, you have to learn how to give them what they want. So what I've decided with that is that I would do what the client wants, but it would not just be part of my portfolio. So I've avoided arguing with clients on any project. I would share my idea, okay, I feel this is how we can go about this project to achieve the best result. But if the client says, no, I don't want this, because at the end of the day, the director's vision is the most important in a project, no matter how rubbish or no matter how bad it is. So as someone who is working for another person, that is one thing you have to learn how to understand. It's just like me being part of a project now that I'm being called to assist. Even when I have the best idea, or maybe I'm a camera assistant on a project and the DOP invited me, even when I feel, okay, this shot might not be the best, but as far as the DOP was the one who invited me, I just have to say, is that what you want? Fine. I just know that when it's my own project, I won't do that. You get? So I think that's one of the best ways in one, learning how to collaborate. And it also has to do with client too. Understanding hierarchy in a project. Like I'm on a project now, you are the director. I'm just maybe a camera assistant on the project. No matter how I feel this project has to go. But as far as you are the director, I've learned that I have to respect hierarchy. And it's also the same thing when working with top clients. But the good aspect is when you work with experienced clients, they know better. I've learned that it is when there are challenges is when you work with people who are a bit inexperienced. Those are the ones that will want to boss you around and say, this is what I want. But they really experienced hands would know, okay, this thing, if they're telling you this will not work, believe me, it won't work because they've seen it over and over again. And an experienced person would even have a storyboard. They have all the idea in their head. You might not really understand their vision at that period, but a very good experienced one would also explain their vision in such a way that someone just coming on board would easily learn and also know how to even improve it. You get? So that's one of the differences between an inexperienced person. Sorry, I'm diverting from the question.
No, it's okay, go ahead.
An inexperienced person from an experienced client also. So, but you just have to know how to marry it. At the end of the day, the person who is paying you has a final say. No matter how creative or talented you are, you just have to learn how to give them what they want.
Again, I'm taking mental notes. Well done, well done. Have you had any, in line with this as well, have you had any project that probably just, you know how it just drains your creativity? If you've had such, how are you able to bounce back? Because the idea is, we're speaking to people who probably haven't even entered the space yet. You know, hearing your experience, it's going to give them a guide to, you know, when I hit this kind of roadblock, this is something I can do to come out of it. So if you ever had the point where you got a project that drained your creativity, how did you feel and how were you able to bounce back from it?
Well, I've been involved in a couple of projects like that, and majorly it still boils down to inexperience most times, especially if the director is inexperienced. You see a lot of that. Majorly, it has been about projects I've collaborated, and student film majorly. Student film when I was in Nigeria. And you just say a director who is just directing his first or second film, and they want to achieve something that even they don't even understand the basis of why the established filmmakers did something like that. They just feel, okay, this is one thing I want to accomplish. Even when they don't have the right shot for it, they just feel you can perform magic, like the saying, fixes it in post. It's just like you just you want to do some, what's it called? Like some effects, but if not really shot it well, there's no miracle an editor would want to do, for example, and especially if you don't even have the budget for VFX. Because I can't start wasting my time trying to pull off a VFX shot that you can't pay me enough for. You get? So you just experience that a lot of time with inexperienced people. And how do I deal with that? One of the ways I try to deal with that is I just try to be humble, try to listen to them, and just try to do what they want. So, and I just try to be like the best team player possible. So I allow them to learn their mistakes at times, and I'm just quiet because I've learned that arguing with people like that would not give you the best results. So, and I'm in there to also help them bring their vision to life. So, and I discovered that if you start arguing and arguing, what would end up it would just be a lot of bad words amongst you guys, which would not necessarily move the project forward. So just learning how to cope, just be a team player has been my own way of dealing with situations like that. And at times I always see it coming even before it happens. So mentally, I zone out from the project in such a way that I know I'm doing this project not because I would post it. I'm just doing this project maybe based on friendship. Maybe these guys, we are friends and we are collaborating. So I'm not expecting too much from that project. So my expectations are quite not that high. So I'm not disappointed when the project does not come that great. So I just see it as an opportunity for them to learn. So that's one of the ways I try to cope with projects like that. And one of the things which also helped me is that I also have a very good portfolio. So I know this project will go add anything to my portfolio. You get so why should I keep myself on all this stuff you get? I just give my best and leave the rest to the director to learn from.
While you were speaking, it seems like you have the ability to manage, people, especially when you're on productions and all of that. So what fuels your own creativity? Because, everybody has what is their go-to thing that they like to do. So for you, what gives you that recharge or fuels you to keep, creatively doing what you're doing?
Number one thing is that I don't do a great job. I think that fuels me because I don't like associating myself with mediocrity. I don't like being involved in something I won't be proud of. So that alone is more like an internal drive for me. So like going into a project, and at times people say I'm a bit over ambitious, and I feel it's better for you to aim for the top. So even when things does not work well, you might not get to that level which you want, but you're not far off. And for me, that has been a big motivation. And luckily for me, again, I surround myself with people who we also like reason the same way. So I'm in that environment where we keep on challenging ourselves in a very good way. It's not that we are competing against each other, but I surround myself with guys who are also talented. So you look at one of the things your guy has done. He has set the pace. You too know that, okay, I also have to like increase my level also. So, and it was like a very, very, very good competitive environment. Though we're not looking at the competition, it was just like a way of challenging ourselves to get better. So when you're on a project, you already know that, because I can be a very bad critic. If you give me your project and I just say I want to criticize it. So I know that me being a bad critic, I know if I'm giving someone my project, the person will go the extra mile in criticizing it. So I try not to even lower the standard. I try to ensure that the standard is up there amongst the best. So I feel that's one of the things that motivate me in making sure that I do something great. And in terms of working with people, I feel I'm a very good team player because like I've been part of, or I'm a good leader because I've been part of all the different aspects of a film production, either working as an intern, a production assistant, production designer. Like I've been in all aspects, and I've discovered that almost everyone is quite important in you achieving a great result. So the way I treat other people might be different compared to someone who does not know that sound is even as important as visual. Like if I'm on a production, I'm like very close to the sound guy, because if I know if the sound guy messes up, your product is, or your production is, the production value will just come down. You get, so that makes it easy for me to know that I need to carry everyone along in such a way that we have a good product. So indirectly, it makes me a better leader, just because I have the experience of working in all departments in a film set, and also understanding that each of the departments are important. So, but majorly, it's about just having something great.
Nice. So looking ahead, is there any project you're going to, invest your time, your resources to, whether it pays you or not? Is there that particular project that is in the pipeline for you?
For me, anytime I say yes to any project, I just ensure that the project comes to life, even when it's not my project, as far as I'm involved one way or the other. Like I know, okay, this project, I might not not even about myself now. If someone comes to me and I say this person has a very good idea, even though I know I might not be part of this project, but I look for how to connect the person to, okay, these are the people that would even make this project even way better compared to how I would make it be. So like any project I get to involve myself, the potential of a project doing very well are quite high. So there have been a couple of projects that I've been part of that I'm looking forward to quite a great result. There was one I did of recent, got a nomination in a film festival in Canada and a couple of international film festivals. I'm hoping it does well. And I'm also looking at directing something that might be coming out very soon. And the target is also international film festivals also. Even though it's just a passion project, I'm looking at an avenue in such a way that I also look at it from a professional perspective. And one of the things I'm trying to do is I'm trying to like bring in most of the professionals that I know from Nigeria, some friends that I have in the UK, and majorly, it's a project that will really do well in film festival because with the story which we have, the story is one that connects to different markets. The market in Asia, in Africa, and also in the UK. So it has the potential of doing well, not just nationally, but also internationally. And luckily enough, I have like some amazing crew members who are coming on board. We're also looking at bringing in like a top comedian in the UK on a project. And a couple of collaborators we're also talking with now. So if we can have that on board, I feel the project has the potential of setting me up.
Speaking of collaborations, one of the things this podcast show is doing is to do that, collaborate, create the avenue, for other creatives to collaborate with the creatives who are going to be coming on the show. So I've heard you talk about teamwork and collaboration, and I think that would you like to collaborate with people who probably are watching right now and are looking to like, this guy has a lot of vision and he's big on XYZ. I would like to collaborate with this person. Are you open to collaborating with other people now?
I'm pretty much open in collaborating. Even if I'm not on your project, you can always reach out. I can always recommend people that will bring your project to life because I still have some little connects which would be helpful to you. And if the project is interesting enough, even when you are not paying me, even though you should be paying me because I'm experienced, but if your project is quite like very interesting, there's something like not having time. If your project is interesting enough, I can always create the time to be part of it one way or the other. I might not have the time to be involved in it, but I can put my money on it if your project is interesting enough. So just reach out. The first thing you have to do is you start. And how do you start? You reach out to me. By reaching out to me, if your project is interesting enough, you have me on board. And if you don't have me on board, I can bring in my guys to come on board. Like I tell my guys, I have a lot of voice, so we can make it happen.
Okay, guys, you already heard Promise. You have to reach out to him. We're going to have to display the avenues to reach out to Promise for collaboration purposes. That's really interesting. I mean, this is like, I would love to have you on and on and on, but for the sake of what it is, what would you tell anybody right now listening to you who is literally trying to, come out, do what they love to do? The person can be an editor or an aspiring editor, like you, hearing your story. What's that thing you can tell anyone who's practically stalling on their journey or struggling on their journey?
Just to what? Start now. You never can tell where you would get to if you start now. By you just delaying, you would never fulfill your potential. It's just like you winning a lottery. If you don't buy a ticket, you can't win a lottery. I could remember the first time I saw the footage which you showed me. It wasn't impressive, but you were able to get to this stage just because you started. Make that mistake, build yourself up, and you are going places. The next podcast you will likely be doing will be way more bigger than in here. The production design and everything will be way bigger. But if you've not started that process, you would never have gotten to this level. Like if I've not like taken the opportunity of applying for the internship, I would not have had the opportunity of working with Nike, Amazon Prime, and bigger directors in Nigeria and abroad. You get, by just starting now, making the application, buying the laptop, going for that film course, or just reaching out to someone you really like what they are doing, by just like sending them a message that, can I be part of your production? Can you give me one or two things? You will be surprised that this person has all what you need for you to kickstart your career. So key thing is start now.
You heard it? Start now. And again, I'll have to reiterate something that Promise said. He said he was big on internship and he gave his 100%. So I find that most people, when they are having jobs, especially that, you know, have no money attached to it, they would rather do like a mediocre kind of delivery as against giving their, 100%, doing it excellently. Creatives, whether paid or not paid, make sure to give your 100%. If you can do above 100%, great, but make sure to do your 100% always. Promise, it's been a pleasure having you here. But before you go, I'd have to just shake you up a bit.
Oh, I'm scared now. I'm scared. Hope you're not putting me on the spot big time.
Well. So I'm going to have to shake you up a bit, okay?
I'm not prepared. Even when I'm not prepared, I behave as if I'm prepared.
I mean, that's the composure. You want to be composed. It's okay. So if your life had a music track, what would it be? What genre will it be?
Afrobeat, Burna Boy should be one of. Burna Boy, Odumodu Black. I love music that connects to the street that I can relate with. So if you're, but Afrobeat, Afrobeat, Naija to the world.
Okay. If you had to have a conversation with an inanimate object, which object will it be? 1, 2, 3.
Laptop.
Okay, that was fun. The other part of the show is that, you've seen this.
Yeah, what's it about?
It's been here all the while. This is our mystery notes, right? And in this mystery notes, we would have you, our guest, say something. And you're going to have to write something, right? So we're presenting you with a very small gift. There you go.
I was expecting a big gift.
Promise. Accept us the way we are, okay?
Okay, from little beginnings.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you want to check it?
Wow. This is big. Not everyone knows that this is my nickname, and she got it right. That means you've done a lot of research about me.
The team does research on their guests.
Thank you, Nina. Thanks for this. I really appreciate it. And this is the first time I'm getting a gift in a very long time. The first time. Wow. This means so much to me.
Thank you. So I'm happy you like your mini gifts. Yeah. So I'm going to pass this to you. Flip to any of the pages. Write something you like anybody who gets this book to eventually read, from you. You can put your name, date, and signature, right?
Thanks so much, Nina.
Thank you. This would be here still. It was good to have you. Thank you for taking the time to be here with us.
My pleasure.
Creatives, you heard it from Promise. Don't forget to probably reach out to him if you think you want to collaborate with him. Yes, don't also forget to subscribe, to like, to share. And also, let's hear your comments about today's episode and how, it resonated with you. Until I see you on the next episode, don't forget, this is the 1% Creative, the platform for creatives by creatives. My name is Nnenna Alozie, and I am a creative.